What's going on, everyone? Happy Saturday. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, flu test, or a test for some other virus, I hope you have tested negative. If you did test positive for COVID, flu, or any of the viruses, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long-term issues and no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Saturday edition of the virus update for Saturday, March 29th, 2025. That's right. It's the last weekend of March. I hope everyone's having a great weekend so far. And if you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. This is where I do the daily virus update on all those viruses that can make us sick. COVID, flu, measles. Hey, measles has been really taking a spotlight lately, but you know what? We cannot let measles get the spotlight so much that we forget about COVID. No, no, no. I won't let that happen here on my channel, and you will see plenty about COVID today, and of course some other viruses too. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new around here, maybe you've seen a couple of my videos, or maybe this is the first time you've been to my channel. Hey, consider subscribing down below. Trying to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Of course, a good way to help me with that would be to share this video with anyone you know. Leave your comments down below, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be notified of my latest video. Alrighty, before we start today, I do have some fantastic news from YouTube, and this is really great. Maybe in the past there's been someone who's clicked onto one of my videos, and, well, maybe they don't speak or understand English. And that's a problem. I would like more people to be able to see my videos. Well, guess what? YouTube is launching a new feature where the audio from my videos will now be able to be translated into other languages. Yes, this is something, I got an email about it a few weeks ago, and then I saw a little notice yesterday saying on my new upload, starting with yesterday's, this will now be a thing where you will be able to translate my videos into different languages. I don't know how many languages it's going to include, but hey, this is some fantastic news, and it means more people will be able to watch my videos. You hit that little gear down below, and it should pop up with the options of the different languages, and the audio will automatically be translated into other languages. Now, let me know in the comments down below, is this feature working yet for you? I posted about it on X yesterday, I believe Blue Sky as well. Well, I think one person said, I haven't checked if there's any new comments. I think one person said it's working. I saw someone else saying, nah, it's not working for them yet. As of last night when I checked, it was not working for me just yet. Hopefully today's upload, it will be working for me because this is fantastic. Number one, it could increase the size of our audience. And number two, overall, it's just a really good thing. All right, moving on. We do have a few news stories today. We're going to take a look at some daily data. I don't know if that's going to include the total number of EMS calls from Friday in Philadelphia. Every time I refresh it, there's nothing. Then we're going to look back on a few things from the past week, take a look at emergency department visits diagnosed with COVID, and then we do have a ton of COVID numbers from CJS, so we will get to that. Probably not going to do much in the way of wastewater today. Tomorrow will be a wastewater dedicated day after we get through whatever news there is tomorrow. All right, starting off with this from CIDRAP. They always post fantastic stuff. U.S. flu continues to decline, but will likely persist in weeks ahead. U.S. flu indicators decline for the 6th week in a row, but levels remain elevated nationally, and activity is expected to continue for the next several weeks, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, said in their latest update. This was released yesterday. Nationally, the percentage of outpatient visits for flu-like illness is at 3.3%, remains above the national baseline for the 17th consecutive week, but 5 areas of the country are now below their regional baselines. That's some good news. Only 7 jurisdictions are still reporting high or very high flu activity, a sharp drop from 20 during the previous week. And get this, test positivity for flu is now at 10.7%, down from 13.3% in the last week's report. So that is some really good news. And hospitalizations and deaths are trending downward, but CDC receives reports of 8 more pediatric flu deaths, raising the season's total to 159. And I can tell you right now, we've read a few news stories about pediatric deaths this week. We did not read about 8 different ones, so I don't know what all those states are, but apparently there's more states than the ones we read about. The CDC has defined the season as high severity, and according to its latest estimate, there have been at least, 44 million flu infections is what they're referring to here, 580,000 hospitalizations, and 25,000 deaths so far. Yeah, that's pretty bad. All right, COVID. Wastewater levels declined to low. Remember last week there was that little bit of an uptick. I know some people hate that term. I'm going to say it because there was an uptick and then it got erased this week. Well, they have declined again and they're back down to low now. Meanwhile, COVID levels also continue to decline from already low levels. According to the CDC's latest data updates, wastewater detections last week declined from the medium to the low level, with the detections highest in the south. Obviously, it's spring break. The proportions of overall deaths that were from COVID last week was 0.9%, lower than the 1.5% for flu. That is a really good thing. And the latest variant, as we know, is LP.8.1. More on that a little bit later. Taking a look at this in Pennsylvania, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, is reporting issues when it comes to whooping cough. Lancaster County 7th graders below herd immunity for whooping cough. Lancaster County is exposed as whooping cough deaths nationwide hit a 7-year high last year. So let's just scroll down to where they talk about the number of deaths when it comes to whooping cough, and those numbers have been going up in Lancaster just like they have in many other places. Last year saw more cases of whooping cough in Lancaster County than the prior 2 years in 2022. Get this, in terms of number of cases, there were less than 5 in 2022. 2023 had 42 and 48 in 2024, and that's only up to December 14th. They haven't completed the year yet, so whooping cough cases increasing in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, cases increasing around the country, and we do know deaths have gone up slightly as well. Not a good thing. All right, let's somehow find our way over in Scotland. I would say let's take a plane ride over there, but it's not necessarily safe. Measles cases rise in Scotland as vaccine uptick drops. This is something we are seeing all around the world. Measles cases have gone up in Scotland with 22 confirmed cases in 2025 so far, 2 less than the total number of cases for 2024. Key word, total number. Yeah, and we have the rest of this year to go. So there's a good chance they are going to pass the number that they saw last year in Scotland. Yeah, it's not a good thing. Measles, it's doing what measles should not be doing, but we have allowed for it to get to this point. The messaging was just not right. The vaccinations are down. There's so many different reasons. And right about now, someone's saying, oh, he's pro-vaccination. I can't watch this channel anymore. Stop. I mean, the vaccine for measles, it does work. When more people took the vaccine, there were less cases. All right, Mike Honey, a couple things from him. At least I think we have 2 things from him. Here's the latest variant picture for COVID now for the United States up to mid-March. The LP.8.1 variant has continued growth steadily to around 49%. Now, this may look different than what we see from the CDC. The XEC variant continued to fall down to around 19%, and we can see LP.81 in this purple here. Yeah, it's continuing to grow at this time. It's clear that's now the dominating variant. Now, when we take a look at things on the global scope, he says, here's the latest variant picture with a global scope up to mid-March. LP.8.1 variant grew to around 38%, taking over dominance from the XEC variant. Yes, so, to repeat, LP.8.1 is now dominating on the global scale. You know what? We may even put that as the title today. That's some pretty big news. You can see the crossover here from XEC. It just recently happened, and LP.8.1, it does continue to go up at this time, and we do not see another variant at this point on here. That looks like it would be the one after LP.8.1, and I've heard of a few out there. I can't give you an answer as to whether or not they're going to be the next variant. It's far too soon, like I said the other day, so Just going to have to continue to monitor things. All right, let's go to Dennis, the COVID info guy, also on X. Follow these accounts. They post fantastic things, and some of them are on Blue Sky as well. I know Dennis is. I don't know, is Mike Honey on Blue Sky? He's talking about COVID-19 outbreaks in Australian residential aged care facilities. And this is the update as of March 27th, 2025. Active cases there, 333. Active outbreaks in care facilities is 67. Both are down. Active cases is down by 182. Outbreaks is down by 16. Residents, 252. That is down by 134. Staff, 81 positive, down by 48. Recorded deaths in 2025 in care facilities is 129, and that is up by 2 at this time. And since the beginning of the pandemic in Australia, 7,333 aged care COVID deaths have occurred. And yep, it's sad to see that many people have died in care facilities. All right, in the United States, just going to repeat this from yesterday. There are now 483 confirmed measles cases. It is very likely the United States will pass, unfortunately, 500 on the next update that comes next Friday. We'll be able to guess ahead of time when we've passed that, because there'll be new cases that trickle in throughout the week. There'll be a new update from Texas on Tuesday. And just to repeat, I said this before, I'm going to say it again. 97% are either unknown or unvaccinated. Only 1% had 1 dose and 2% had 2 doses. You get it. The majority of them have not been vaccinated for measles. That's telling you something right there. All right, moving on now. We'll look at that on Sunday. I was going to show you the wastewater update from Wastewater Scan. We'll save that for tomorrow. All right, taking a look at what's going on with the bird migration. And for those wondering, this website is called Birdcast. And I think I'll add it to the thread on my site that shows all the different tools that we use here. And take a look at this. We're seeing strong migration signals, strong migrations of birds in the Mid-Atlantic and even portions of the Northeast today. You know, it's really warm here today. We're actually up to 82 degrees here in Philadelphia. Yeah, this is warm enough weather for those birds if they want to come back to the north. Yeah, it's warm enough for them. Look at this. Even in Texas, there's some migration going on today. And, you know, there's some more tools we can take a look at here on this website. We won't do that today. Maybe we'll do that into tomorrow's video, but take a look at this. Those yellowish golden colors, that's really high levels of migration. So the birds, they are on the move to the north. Hey, let me know. Are you starting to see hummingbirds yet? Maybe down the south? If you've seen a hummingbird yet, let me know. We still got some time before they come up here in the Northeast. I think where I'm at, what did I see? April 15th to April 30th. I'm actually looking forward to seeing the hummingbirds once again. We do feed them. Hopefully you do so safely. Let's take a look at what's going on with the air quality values. And apologies, we need to refresh this. Every 5 minutes it grays out on us. And you're going to see a lot of areas with bad air quality. Yeah, take a look at the Mid-Atlantic where it's warm today. But you can also see, if you go up to New England, air quality is fine. That's because there's a backdoor cold front boundary there. That boundary is going to shift south a little bit. North of the boundary, you're fine. South of there, air quality is not the best today. Pollen's starting to go up. So yeah, generally east of the Mississippi, we'll say south of the Great Lakes. Well, no, it includes Lake Erie as well. But generally east of the Mississippi, watch out. There's some bad air quality today. Although Florida is not doing too bad. South Carolina is not terrible till you get up to around North Carolina where, hey, wildfires are still going on. West Coast is not terrible today. Taking a look at what is going on with the pollen levels, and we're using the Weather Channel for this. And we can see here, as I have to refresh it, we can see here that pollen levels, the greens, they did reach up to the Mason-Dixon line. And look at the plains. Those greens are starting to get a little further to the north. A lot of reds in Texas today, some oranges on the West Coast, some oranges and reds down in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, oranges in Georgia as well. To the west of there, you're not seeing it as high. It's because there's some rain ongoing there. Rain cleanses the atmosphere and takes the pollen out of the air. All right, moving on now to this. Pinellas County, Florida. I was about to say it's very busy there today. Earlier it was. I'm glad to see that it's not as busy now. We do see sick person a few times, breathing problems, and a few other calls going on. All right, hopefully we get something from Philadelphia. I'm pretty sure we probably won't. Let's see here. Now, they're still showing the numbers from Thursday. 717 EMS calls were reported on Thursday in Philadelphia. We can see here, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, not that busy right now. Dehydration is starting to show up. And you know what? Since we're seeing dehydration show up, it's a good time for me to remind you, you need to take your hydration break. Let's do that right now. Alrighty. Wasn't that refreshing? Don't you feel hydrated now? I feel more hydrated. Taking a look at what's going on in Chester County, Pennsylvania, and we can see here there are a few things going on at this time. We can see heat, exposure. Yeah, even on the first 80-degree day of the year, that can pop up. You know, it kind of hits your body at a shock. If you're in an area where you're hitting your first 80-degree day after, it's been a cold winter, it can kind of hit you as if it's 90 or plus. It's going to feel a lot warmer than it really is. And in August, we would say, oh, well, 80 degrees, that's not that warm. No, but right now, being that we're just in the last weekend of March after a cold winter, it does kind of hit you with a shock. Not much to be said about this. Take a look at this. Hardly any issues when it comes to hospitals in Pennsylvania today. Yeah, there's a few yellow ones in southeast PA. Yeah, there's one in south central PA. Just only 2 in the Lehigh Valley, and one here is actually hidden. My point is, things are really starting to improve, so this is some fantastic news. We'll see what happens come summertime when COVID goes back up and, the heat of the summer. New Jersey, take a look at this. Just 2 problems today. Not even worth talking about. I'm really pleased with that. New York State had 1,405 new cases. Yesterday, taking a look at what was going on with New York State's hospitalizations, and 748 people were in the hospital. Yes, that was a slight increase, and part of that reasoning is, you guessed it, New York City. Let's take a look at New York City. I think that was the reason. Yeah, New York City went up a little bit from the previous day. And taking a look at some new data from the CDC, LP.8.1 is the dominating variant in the United States. Again, this looks different than what Mike Honey said. This is just estimates here from the Nowcast. And to be honest with you, I haven't gone through these, but in the past updates, there's only been one region that we've got an estimate from, and that's just a portion of the Northeast. So, yeah, limited data. 55% for LP.8.1. XEC is at 21% at this time. All right, here's the tab we want to take a look at, and we're going to take a look at emergency department visits, for people diagnosed with COVID. They're showing up to the emergency department diagnosed with COVID. And mind you, we are going to go through this relatively quick because, for the most part, it is good news. Nationally, United States, dropping at this time. Alabama, steadily dropping. Alaska, steadily dropping. Arizona, it's dropping at this time. Arkansas, I can't say you're dropping. Maybe you've even gone up a little bit. California has flattened at this time. Colorado is dropping. Connecticut is starting to drop once again. Delaware is continuing to drop. Washington, D.C., District of Columbia, that's rising a little bit. And I do believe this is the weekend for the Cherry Blossom Festival, which brings a ton of people into D.C. We'll have to keep an eye on what happens in D.C. Florida is flat at this time to maybe even ever so slightly dropping. Good to say with spring break going on. Georgia is dropping at this time. Guam is dropping. Hawaii is starting to drop once again. No real trend for Idaho. You're just doing a lot of little up, down, really not going anywhere. Illinois is dropping at this time. Indiana has flattened out. Iowa, what's going on? Why do you have a V shape? Yeah, you're going up a little bit again. Kansas is dropping. Kentucky is dropping. Louisiana is finally dropping after all those winter activities that draw big crowds there. Maine is dropping. Maryland's starting to drop once again. Massachusetts has leveled off a little bit. Michigan's dropping. Mississippi is dropping. Montana is dropping. Nebraska is dropping. Nevada is slowly dropping, leveling off a little bit. New Hampshire started New Hampshire started rising last weekend. Yeah, they're still rising there. New Jersey is kind of flat to ever so slightly dropping. New Mexico is dropping at this time. New York State, after a small increase last week, has leveled off once again. North Carolina has leveled off. North Dakota is dropping. Ohio is dropping. Oregon leveled off. Pennsylvania, I'm happy to say my state is dropping. Rhode Island is dropping. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Maybe slowing a little bit. South Carolina is dropping. South Dakota is dropping. Tennessee is dropping. Texas is dropping. Utah is dropping. Vermont, you have one of these V shapes, like we saw with another state, you're starting to go up once again. Gonna have to keep an eye on that. Virginia is dropping. Washington State leveled off and maybe ever so slightly rising at the end. Virginia is dropping. We can see Wisconsin. Yeah, take a look at that. Slight increase in Wisconsin. No data from Wyoming. Nothing from Missouri. And if we missed anywhere else, it's just not included on here. I'm sorry, they don't include everything. And the influenza-like illness map for this week. Take a look here. Overall, it is some good news. You can see here, things are continuing to get better. If we go backwards, you can see, look how bad we were. I mean, we got real bad around the holidays. Then things got a little bit better. And then came the first weekend in February. And yeah, the start of February was just oh so bad. And then about mid-February on, things have gradually improved. And now we're seeing a lot more green, which is low to minimal levels of influenza-like illness. That is some good news. Alrighty, let's take a look at some data now from CJS 83172. Thank you so much for your reports. I'm glad I can share these numbers with you. And for the most part, this is COVID. We will see some data from California, which is in regards to flu. All right, starting off with his numbers from Thursday. And first off, Florida, this is a daily number. 302 new cases and 3 new deaths were reported. New York, daily number, 1,526 new cases. Puerto Rico, 191 new cases on Thursday and 1 new death. And taking a look at Colorado, a test case positivity rate of 3.1%, slightly up from 3% the week prior, and 3 deaths reported by the CDC data tracker. Connecticut's weekly number was 482 new COVID cases and 2 deaths reported. Indiana, 715 new cases. Might have missed carryover cases from the previous week. Okay. And 15 deaths reported. Kentucky this week reports 863 new positive tests and 19 deaths reported. Massachusetts, 770 new cases and 9 new deaths. Minnesota, 679 new cases and 15 new deaths. New Mexico, 237 new cases and 7 deaths. New Jersey, 1,632 new cases and 21 deaths. North Carolina, 509 new hospital visits. And hey, North Carolina, you still added 31 new deaths this week. That's a lot. That's not something you should be proud of. Ohio, as mentioned the previous day, 2,066 new cases and 20 new state-reported deaths. The CDC data tracker, which often is different for Ohio, showed 32 Ohio COVID deaths. Utah weekly number was 335 people added to their living with COVID count and 3 new deaths. Friday, Florida added 608 new cases and 13 new deaths, and for the week they added 2,392 cases and 48 deaths reported over the past 7 days to go along with 380 CDC reported COVID hospitalizations this week, a decrease from the previous week. But would you believe it? That number in Florida is still lower than the number in Pennsylvania. Yeah, you'll see that in a little bit. New York, their daily number on Friday was 1,596 new cases. Their weekly number was 8,832 reported over the past 7 days. A batch of the cases reported on Monday were from past weeks, along with 772 CDC reported hospitalizations, an increase from last week, and 24 deaths. Puerto Rico, daily number was 155 new cases today, meaning yesterday, and 1,138 cases and 6 deaths reported over the past 7 days. All right, now we get to some weekly tallies. Alabama, 232 CDC reported hospitalizations and 12 deaths reported. Arizona, 630 new cases reported by the state on Wednesday and 11 deaths reported. 7 deaths were reported in Arkansas this week. California, 2,409 new positive tests, 454 CDC reported hospitalizations, and 47 new deaths, 1 from 2021 and 3 from 2022, as well as 53 new flu deaths. Georgia added 273 CDC reported COVID hospitalizations and 14 deaths reported by the CDC data tracker. Idaho, 500 new emergency department visits, 2 deaths reported. Illinois, 358 CDC reported hospitalizations and 26 deaths reported. Louisiana, 869 emergency department visits and 8 new deaths. Mississippi, 6 new deaths reported. Missouri, 136 CDC reported hospitalizations and 52 more that weren't reported last week, and 11 deaths reported. Nebraska, a 7% test case positivity rate, slightly down from 7.1 of each of the prior 2 weeks, and 3 deaths reported this week. New Hampshire, 5 new state-reported deaths. Hey, that's still a lot of deaths in New Hampshire. Oklahoma, a test case positivity rate of 9.4%, up with a bullet, he says, for the third consecutive week from 6% 3 weeks ago. We need to figure out what's going on there. I think I'm going to show Oklahoma's dashboard tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I already have it queued up. 3 weeks ago, this is up 6%. Up 3 weeks ago was 7.1%. 2 weeks ago was 8.3%. You get the idea. It's going upward. And they also added, you can't see it here because my face is blocking it, but they added 11 deaths this week. Pennsylvania, get this, more hospitalizations than Florida. 599 still CDC reported hospitalizations and 30 deaths reported by the CDC data tracker. Yeah, Pennsylvania is more vaccinated than Florida. I don't know. South Carolina, 155 CDC reported hospitalizations and 12 deaths reported by the CDC data tracker. Tennessee, 218 CDC reported hospitalizations and 8 deaths reported. Texas this week reports, and I do need to zoom this out, Texas reports 1,457 new cases and another 36 deaths. Another state that's not doing well when it comes to deaths. West Virginia, 475 new positive tests, a test case positivity rate of 5.01%, down from 5.59% last week, and 5 deaths reported by the CDC data tracker. Then finally we come to Wisconsin, which has 528 new positive tests, a test case positivity rate of 4.1%. Hey, down slightly from 4.2% last week, and 18 deaths reported by the CDC data tracker. All right, the CDC this week added 567 new deaths since last week and currently shows 1,224,920 total U.S. COVID deaths since this all started. That is up from 1,224,353 it was showing at this time last week. Alrighty, that was a lot of data, wasn't it? You learned a lot today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below. Hit that notification bell. Share this video with anyone you know, and leave your comments down below. I will see you all again next time for the Sunday edition of the Virus Update, where we will focus on viruses in wastewater. Until I see you again on Sunday, stay safe, everyone. Have a fantastic Saturday evening. Have a fantastic weekend, and thanks for watching.